Hey, English learners, welcome to the English Podcast. Today, our topic is about 10 life rules inspired from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I am so honored to be here with a man who has inspired millions, not just in India, but all over the world. Beside me is the former president of India and a great scientist, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam.
Thank you, Sunitha. It is a great pleasure to be here with you and with all our friends who are listening to Learn English. I always say that learning gives creativity, and creativity leads to thinking. I am happy to share my journey with everyone today.
That is so wonderful to hear. You know, many people know you as the Missile Man or the People's President, but today we want to talk about the simple rules that guided your life. Before we start with the first rule, I have a simple question for you. When you were a young boy in Ramesaram selling newspapers to help your family, did you ever imagine you would one day lead a whole nation?
No, Sunitha. When I was 10 years old, my world was very small. I was just a boy who loved to learn. I wanted to help my father and my family because we did not have much money. But I had a hunger for knowledge. I would read every newspaper before I sold it. I didn't dream of being president, but I did dream of flying.
That is a beautiful starting point. It shows that where we start does not decide where we finish. So let's dive into your life rules. What is the very first rule you live by?
The first and most important rule is righteousness in the heart. This is a very special concept. In India, we have a beautiful saying that I have shared many times, including at the European Parliament.
Righteousness is a big word for some of our listeners. Can you explain what it means in a simple way?
Yes, righteousness means being a good person. It means doing what is right, being honest, and having a clean heart. I tell people to repeat this with me. Where there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in the character.
I love that. Beauty in the character. So if we are good inside, our personality becomes beautiful.
Exactly. And it goes further. When there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. Harmony means peace and love among family members. And when there is harmony in the home, there is order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. So, if you want world peace, you must start with your own heart.
That is a very powerful thought. It starts with one person. You often mention a character from the Mahabharata named Vidur when you talk about this, don't you?
Yes, Vidur. He was a man of righteousness. He was not afraid of people in power. He only spoke what was right. To be righteous, you must be brave enough to be honest.
That is rule number 1. Righteousness in the heart. It leads to a beautiful life and a peaceful world. Now, let's move to rule number 2. I think this one is very famous because of you. It's about dreams, right?
Yes, Sunitha. Rule number 2 is have a great aim or a big dream. I always tell young people that a small aim is a crime. You must have a great aim.
You have a very famous quote about dreams. Can you share it with us?
Of course. I say, dreams are not what you see in your sleep. Dreams are the things that do not let you sleep.
That is so deep. It means a real dream is a passion that keeps you awake and working. How did you find your big dream?
It happened in the 5th grade. I had a teacher, Sri Siva Subramanya Iyer. One day, he was teaching us how birds fly. He spent 25 minutes explaining it on the blackboard, but we did not understand. So, he took the whole class to the seashore. He showed us the seagulls flying. He showed us how they flapped their wings and how they changed direction.
A live lesson.
Yes, at that moment, watching those birds, I decided I wanted to fly too. That bird's flight shaped my whole life. I decided I would study science and aeronautics. That one dream of a young boy eventually led to the rockets and satellites of India.
So, for our listeners listening, it doesn't matter if your dream seems impossible right now. The important thing is to have one.
Yes, Dreams transform into thoughts, and thoughts result in action. If you don't have a dream, you won't have the fire to act.
That leads us perfectly into rule number 3. If you have a dream, you need a way to reach it. What is your third rule?
Rule number 3 is continuously acquire knowledge. To reach a great goal, you must never stop learning.
You were a student your whole life, weren't you? Even when you were president?
Yes, knowledge is like a light. I learned from everyone. I learned from my teacher, Professor Satish Dhawan. I learned from books. I even learned from a 107-year-old tree in my garden. I used to go for walks and ask the tree, "What is the purpose of your life?" And the tree told me, through its beauty, that its mission was to give flowers, to give shade, to give a home to birds.
That's beautiful. You also talk about 4 things needed for success, and knowledge is one of them. What were the others?
To be unique and successful, you need 4 things. First, a great aim. Second, continuously acquire knowledge. Third, hard work. And fourth, perseverance.
Acquire means to get or to learn, so we must keep getting new information and skills. You once mentioned that education should also give us skill certificates, not just degrees.
Yes, I believe students should leave school with 2 certificates, one for their studies and one for a skill, like training in a professional course. This makes them ready for the world. They become employment generators instead of just employment seekers.
I think that is a very practical rule. Never stop being a student. Now, rule number 4 is something many people find difficult. It's about the effort we put in.
Rule number 4 is hard work. There is no substitute for hard work. If you want to shine like the sun, you must first burn like the sun.
Burn like the sun. That sounds like it takes a lot of energy.
It does. I remember when I was studying at the Madras Institute of Technology, MIT, I was given a project to design a low-level attack aircraft. My professor told me my design was not good enough. He said, "Kalam, if you don't finish a better design in 3 days, I will take away your scholarship."
Only 3 days? That sounds very stressful.
I was very worried. That scholarship was the only way I could study. My sister had even pawned her gold jewelry to help me pay for college. I could not fail. So I did not sleep for 3 days. I worked and worked.
72 hours of work?
Yes, and when the professor saw the new design, he was so happy that he hugged me. He told me I knew the deadline was nearly impossible, but he wanted to see my single-minded devotion. Hard work is what turns a dream into reality. I used to work 18 hours a day, 365 days a year.
That is incredible dedication. It shows that even a genius like you had to work very hard. It wasn't just luck.
No, it is never just luck. You must give your everything to your mission.
So far we've covered 4 rules: righteousness in the heart, having a great aim, continuously acquiring knowledge, and hard work. These rules helped you go from a small town in South India to the highest office in the country.
And they can help anyone, Sunitha. Whether you are learning a new language like English or building a rocket, the principles are the same. You must be good, you must dream big, you must learn every day, and you must work hard.
You know, Dr. Kalam, listening to you makes everything feel possible, but I know that life is not always easy. Sometimes, even when we work hard and have a big dream, things go wrong.
You are right, and that is why we have more rules to talk about. Life will always have problems, but the secret is how you look at those problems.
I want to hear more about that. You once had a very big failure with a rocket called SLV-3, didn't you?
Oh yes, that was a very important day in my life. It taught me more than any success ever did.
I think our listeners would love to hear that story, but maybe we can talk more about the challenges and how to face them as we continue our conversation.
I would be happy to. There is so much more to share about being the captain of the problem.
I love that phrase, the captain of the problem. It makes me feel like we have the power to steer our own ship even in a storm.
We do. Every human being is born with potential. We are born with goodness and with wings. We are not meant for crawling. We are meant to fly.
We are meant to fly. What a beautiful thought to keep in our minds. Friends, we are just getting started with Dr. Kalam's life rules. We've covered the foundation, the heart, the dream, the mind, and the effort.
Yes, and as we go on, we will talk about how to handle the times when things don't go as planned, because that is when your character is really tested.
I agree. It's easy to be happy when everything is going well, but the real rules of life show us what to do when we face a wall. The music swells slightly, maintaining a calm. Welcome back to the English podcast, everyone. We are continuing our wonderful conversation with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam about the rules that shaped his life. In the first part, we talked about having a big dream and working hard. Dr. Kalam, right before we took a break, you mentioned a very difficult time in 1979. You called it a failure. For many of us, failure feels like the end of the world. Can you tell us what happened?
Yes, Sunitha. This brings us to rule number 5. Learn how to manage failure. In 1979, I was the project director for India's first satellite launch vehicle, the SLV-3. Thousands of people had worked for nearly 10 years on this mission. On the day of the launch, the countdown was going well. But at T-minus 40 seconds, the computer put the launch on hold because it detected a leakage in the control system.
That must have been so scary. What did you do?
My experts told me not to worry. They said we had enough fuel and could bypass the computer to launch manually. I trusted them and I took the decision to launch. But instead of going into orbit, the rocket fell into the Bay of Bengal. It was a total failure. I was the mission director and I felt like a culprit. I was frightened to face the press and the world.
But you weren't alone in that moment, were you?
No, and this is where I learnt a great lesson about leadership from my chairman, Professor Satish Dhawan. He took me to the press conference. When the media asked why we wasted so much money, Professor Dhawan did not blame me. He stood up and said, "We have failed today, but I have full support for my scientists. I am sure next year they will succeed." He took all the blame himself.
That is incredible. He protected you.
Exactly. And 1 year later, in July 1980, when we succeeded and put the Rohini satellite into orbit, Professor Dhawan did something different. He told me, "Kalam, now you go and conduct the press conference." He gave the credit for success to the team, but he took the responsibility for the failure himself. This is a very important rule for life. A leader must know how to handle failure as much as success.
That leads us perfectly into rule number 6, become the captain of the problem. You often say this to students, right?
Yes, I want every young person to repeat this. Problem should not be my captain. I should be the captain of the problem. In every task you do, you will face problems. If you let the problem win, you stop. But if you defeat the problem, you succeed. You must not let failure hearten you or success go to your head.
I think that's a lesson we all need, especially when we are learning something new like English. Sometimes we make mistakes and want to give up, but we have to be the captain of our mistakes.
Precisely. Now, rule number 7 is about something very simple but very important. Take care of your health and have a "what can I give" attitude.
Health and giving, how are they connected?
My brother in Rameshwaram lived to be over 100 years old. When he was 98, he gave me advice because I was not eating at the right times. He told me 3 things: walk, 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 eat at regular times, and sleep early. I try to walk for 1 hour every morning. But health is not just the body, it is also the mind. I believe a healthy mind comes from a what can I give attitude.
Can you explain that? Most people ask, what can I get?
Yes, and that is where trouble starts. Corruption starts when people think, what can I take? But a true leader asks, what can I give? What can I do for you? When you use your knowledge or even kind words to make someone else's life happy, you get a conflict-free world.
That is so true. Giving makes us feel happy and peaceful inside. Now, Dr. Kalam, I want to talk about education. You have a very interesting idea for rule number 8. Education should give you skills, not just degrees.
Yes, I visualize that in the future, students should graduate with 2 certificates. One certificate for their studies, like 10th or 12th grade, and another certificate for a specific skill. This makes them employable. Instead of just looking for jobs, they can become employment generators or entrepreneurs.
You mean they can start their own small businesses?
Yes, small and medium enterprises are very important for a nation. We need to train young people to have the capacity to say, I will become an entrepreneur. This is part of my vision for a developed nation where everyone has the power to contribute.
You are so passionate about the youth. You even have a poem for them, don't you? About being born with wings.
Ah, yes, it is my favorite. I tell the youth to repeat, I am born with potential. I am born with goodness. I am born with ideas and dreams. I am not meant for crawling. I have wings. I will fly. I will fly.
I have wings. I will fly. That is so beautiful. It reminds me of the story you told about your teacher and the seagulls. You really believe in the power of the mind to overcome any situation.
I do. And that brings us to rule number 9, which is very close to my heart. Transform religion into spirituality.
This sounds like a deep topic. Many people see religion as something that divides us. How can it bring us together?
Religion has 2 parts, theology and spirituality. Theology is different for every religion, but spirituality is the same. It is about values and helping human life. I saw this happen in the 1960s in a place called Thumba. We needed that specific land for our space research because it was on the magnetic equator. But there was a problem.
What was the problem?
On that land, there was an ancient church, a bishop's house and a school where fishermen lived. My professor, Vikram Sarabhai, went to see the bishop, Reverend Father Peter Pereira. The bishop asked him, "You are asking for my children's home and God's home for science. How is it possible?"
That sounds like a very difficult situation.
But the bishop was a wise man. He invited us to the church on Sunday. During the prayer, he told the people that science and spirituality both seek the same thing, peace and prosperity for humanity. He asked the people, "Can we give God's home for a great scientific mission?" There was a total silence, and then everyone said, "Amen."
That is so moving. The church became a laboratory.
Yes, the church became our design center. The bishop's house became our office. This showed me that when great minds and spiritual leaders come together, they can solve any problem for the good of the people. I grew up seeing this in Rameshwaram too, where the head priest of the temple, the reverend father of the church, and my father, the imam of the mosque, would sit together to solve the town's problems.
So, rule number 9 is about finding the common ground, the righteousness that connects us all.
Exactly. Whether it is a temple, a mosque, or a church, the goal is to make a better human being.
Dr. Kalam, we have talked about so many things, from the failure of a rocket to the success of a whole village. We've talked about health, entrepreneurship, and the unity of different faiths.
Life is like a big tapestry, Sunitha. All these threads, science, hard work, faith, and kindness, they all weave together to make a meaningful life.
I feel like we are learning so much more than just English today. We are learning how to be better humans.
That is the best kind of learning. Knowledge should always lead to wisdom.
We still have a few more rules to discuss, including some very personal stories about your time as the people's president.
Yes, and I also want to share a poem about the great tree in my home that taught me the mission of life.
I can't wait to hear that. Friends, don't go anywhere. We're going to continue this inspiring journey with Dr. Kalam in just a moment. We are back. In our last part, Dr. Kalam, you spoke about transforming religion into spirituality and the importance of having a "what can I give" attitude. It is amazing how these simple rules can change a person's life. Now, as we move into the final part of our discussion, I want to talk about your vision for the future. You have a very big dream for India, which you call India 2020. Can you explain rule number 10?
Have a vision for your nation and your society. A person is not an island. We live in a society, and we must dream of how to make that society better. My vision was for India to become a developed nation.
Developed nation? That sounds like a big goal. How do we reach it?
We must lift up the people. I often spoke about 300 million people who were living with very little money. To help them, we need to create employment potential. This means creating jobs. I proposed an idea called Pura.
Pura? What does that stand for?
It stands for providing urban amenities in rural areas. You see, Sunitha, 70% of our people live in 600,000 villages. If we give those villages connectivity, physical roads, electronic internet, and knowledge, then economic prosperity will follow. We must bring the comforts of the city to the villages.
That is such a kind and practical vision. It shows that leadership is about thinking of others. Speaking of leadership, you were the President of India, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. But I read a story that even when you were at the top, you never forgot your childhood dream of being a pilot.
Ah, yes. That is a story of how a dream can wait, but it never dies. When I was 23 years old, I went to the Air Force interview in Dehradun to become a pilot. There were only 9 seats, and I was the 10th person on the list. I failed by just 1 position.
You must have been so sad.
I was very disappointed. I went to Rishikesh and met a wise man, Swami Sivananda. He told me that if my desire was pure and strong, it would happen one day. And it did. Many years later, when I was the president, I told the Chief of Air Staff that I still wanted to fly. He trained me for 6 months, and at the age of 74, I flew a supersonic fighter jet, the Su-30.
That is incredible. It proves rule number 2 again. Dreams do result in action if you don't give up.
Yes, dream transforms into thoughts, and thoughts result in action.
Dr. Kalam, people call you the people's president because you remained so simple. There is a famous story that when you moved into the president's house, you only brought 2 suitcases. Is that true?
Gently, yes, Sunitha. I believe that honesty is the greatest wealth. When I became president, I brought my books, my veena, an instrument I love to play, and my clothes. When my term was over 5 years later, I left with the same 2 suitcases. I did not need more. My property is my 2,500 books and the love of the people.
That is so moving. You even paid for your family's stay at the president's house out of your own salary, didn't you?
I did. I told my staff that the president's house belongs to the nation, not to my family. We must keep our integrity. Corruption starts when we ask, "What can I take?" Peace starts when we ask, "What can I give?"
You often talk about a great tree in your home that taught you this lesson of giving. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. In my garden, there was an Arjuna tree that was 107 years old. Every morning, I would walk near it for 1 hour. One day, I asked the tree, "What is your mission?" In my heart, the tree answered through a poem I wrote.
Can you share a part of that poem with us?
The tree said, "My mission is to share. I give flowers, I give honey. I am a home for hundreds of birds. And because I give, I remain young and happy always. This is the secret of life. Like the flower that gives its perfume freely to everyone, we must give our best to the world."
Because I give, I remain young and happy. I think that is a rule we should all write down.
It is the highest way to live. When you are inspired by a great purpose, your mind transcends limitations.
Your hidden talents come alive, and you become a greater person than you ever dreamed.
You have given us 10 beautiful rules today: righteousness, aiming high, continuous knowledge, hard work, managing failure, being the captain of problems, health and giving, skills over degrees, spirituality, and having a vision for society.
And there is one more thing I want every young learner to carry in their heart. It is a vow, a promise to themselves.
Please share it with us.
Repeat these words with me, Sunitha, and let our friends at home repeat them too. I am born with potential. I am born with goodness. I am born with ideas and dreams. I am born with greatness. I am born with confidence. I am not meant for crawling. I have wings. I will fly. I will fly.
I have wings, I will fly. That is the perfect way to look at life. No matter where we come from, whether we're selling newspapers or sitting on the last bench of a classroom, we all have those wings.
Yes, the best brains of the nation may be found on the last benches of the classroom. Never feel small. The sun shines for everyone. But to shine like the sun, you must first burn like the sun.
Dr. Kalam, this conversation has been a gift. You have taught us that English is not just about words, it's about the stories and the values those words carry.
Knowledge is a light. I am happy to have shared this light with you today.
We have learned so much about the missile man who became the people's president, but most importantly, we learned about the man who never stopped being a student.
Learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge, and knowledge makes you great.
As we reflect on these 10 rules, I hope every listener feels a little bit more confident today. Whether you're struggling with a new language or a big project at work, remember that you are the captain of your problems.
And remember the Arjuna tree. Keep giving, keep sharing, and you will always stay happy.
It is amazing how your life comes full circle, from watching birds at the seashore to flying a fighter jet, and from a small house in Rameshwaram to the president's palace.
Life is a beautiful journey if you have the right rules to guide you.
Friends, take these rules with you. Think about them as you go about your day. Think about your dream, your hard work, and what you can give to the people around you.
The world needs your unique light. Don't try to be like everyone else. Be the unique you that you were born to be.